Hello, I'm CJ Werleman, and in this week's episode, we reveal why the United Arab Emirates is committing genocide against Muslims in Sudan. But first, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. The United Arab Emirates is rightly called America's little Frankenstein in the Middle East, because it not only pretends to be a Muslim country, while carrying water for the Zionist colonial enterprise, but also it has produced one of the world's largest arsenals of US weapons to expand its imperialist project throughout the Middle East and Africa. It's critically important to describe this backdrop, because if you don't understand the UAE and its maniacal crown prince, Mohammed bin Zayed, then you will never fully understand the genocide currently taking place in the African country of Sudan, where Muslims comprise more than 90% of the population. But of course, you're not hearing or seeing much about this genocide in the international media, because the mass atrocities taking place in Sudan are sponsored by Emirati money and quietly backed by the US government. This silence and complicity is why Sudan's ambassador to the United Nations made this desperate plea last week.
من يريد صنع السلام في السودان عليه أن يأتي بقلب سليم، وأن دولة الإمارات هي الدولة التي ترعى الإرهاب المنمذج والعرقي في السودان، ولقد أثبت ذلك تقرير مجلسكم.
We will dive deep into the weeds of Sudan in a moment, but first I want to provide you with more background on the UAE's disastrous foreign policy, of which my journalism and this program has covered extensively throughout the years. It's not a stretch to say that this quasi-Arab nation has unleashed terrible suffering on Muslim populations around the world. It not only arms and funds the Libyan warlord General Haftar in Libya, where militias have ethnically cleansed entire cities in North Africa, but it also arms the Southern Transactional Council in Yemen, where it's responsible for countless atrocities against innocent civilians. And beyond the Middle East, the UAE sponsors India's Hindu settler colonial enterprise in occupied Kashmir, and funds anti-Muslim hatred throughout Europe and the United States, while at the same time feeding Israel as it starves Palestinians to death in Gaza. This is what I mean when I talk about the UAE's calamitous foreign policy. So let's now take a closer look at why the UAE is sponsoring genocide in Sudan, and in turn creating one of the worst crises the world has seen in decades, even surpassing Gaza in terms of human suffering. But like Gaza, the response from the international community has been totally absent. Despite hundreds of thousands killed, 9 million forcibly displaced, all of whom are just one step away from famine, if they're not there already. Some aid agencies have predicted that 2.5 million people could potentially die by September because of a lack of harvest and soaring food prices. A humanitarian aid worker who recently returned from Sudan described these horrors in graphic detail.
The capital city of Sudan is an environmental health hazard right now. And the reason why is because there are so many dead bodies just piled up. There's so many dead bodies piled up that it's just food for the dog. The city has become a mating ground for stray dogs. The dog's whole diet is the bodies of Sudanese people. There are so many dead bodies there that birds are changing their normal migration patterns just to stop there and get some of the dead Sudanese bodies. That's what they're feeding on.
Sadly, however, Sudan is the new forgotten war. It's the proxy war nobody is talking about, with Emirati power and influence suppressing news of the bloodshed, chaos and misery. Mostly because the party responsible for the mass killings and mass rapes is the UAE-backed Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, a paramilitary group comprising ethnic Arab nomads, who are hated by more than 90% of the Sudanese population because 90% of the population are not Arab nomads. This hatred for the RSF has only spiked upwards as the group commits more and even worse crimes against humanity, like it did against this Sudanese Muslim woman here, who described to a German media outlet how RSF terrorists not only raped her and her 3 sisters, but also forced their father to watch.
اغتصاب جماعي قدام أبوي. الاغتصاب الجماعي اللي حصل لنا إحنا 4 أخوات قدام أبونا. حاول كتير إنه يدافع وحاول كتير حتى يطلع برا. كانوا لا بيسمحوا لنا إنه يطلع برا. اقعد يتفرج على بناتك. خلصوا طلعوا نحن لا عارفين نلم نفسنا ولا عارفين نعالج فينا. مشينا المستشفى. صاحبي كان في المستشفى فاتح. لما مشينا وجينا راجعين لقينا أبوي معلق نفسه بس بعد الحادثة ب3 يوم أبوي نشب نفسه في نفس المكان، في نفس الغرفة اللي اغتصبونا فيها. وهنا دي قصتي وهنا دي معاناتي الحقيقية.
Evidently, the Emirati regime and its militias have learnt from their Zionist partners how to use sexual violence as a weapon of war. And like the Israeli military, the RSF is also using starvation as a weapon of war. Here you can see RSF fighters filming themselves celebrating after burning down a village and wheat farm in Western Sudan. Just one of thousands of farms that have been destroyed as part of their systematic effort to ethnically cleanse the country and in the name of one objective: to bring the UAE's preferred dictator to power, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, the leader of the RSF. Which brings us to the question of why. As in, why is the Emirati regime committing genocide to pave the way for a military dictatorship in Sudan? Well, by seizing control of Sudan, it will control all 3 sides of the Red Sea, allowing the UAE to add to its string of military bases and ports from the Horn of Africa to Egypt, an area that stands over one of the world's most strategic zones, given 12% of the global energy supply is shipped through this waterway. Also, the UAE will be able to control military and trade flows in an area that is expected to undergo rapid growth in the next century. But in order to achieve these aims, it's covertly arming arguably the most violent militia group on the African continent, where it's bombing hospitals, murdering innocent civilians, raping women and children, while committing other unspeakable atrocities. The biggest concern right now is the mass starvation of potentially millions of people, with 5 million at risk of starving to death within the next several months. Like this child here, who hasn't eaten a morsel of food in days. I know stopping the misery in Gaza is everyone's priority at the moment, but please also do what you can to help the Sudanese people. All lives matter, but their lives are being ignored, their voices are being silenced by the power of Emirati money and influence. So donate what you can to aid agencies, amplify Sudanese voices on social media, and for goodness sake, boycott Dubai and Abu Dhabi, along with the country's national air carriers. The lives of millions of people depend on every single one of us. Let's do whatever we can. But that's my time for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we kindly ask that you please support our effort to expose and confront injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJ We can't produce, sustain, and grow the show without your help, and we offer exclusive content and benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.